kind of situation.
Ah,
Because, as you know, I always like to try and catch that as we're still talking. Hair's falling out.
they're doing so good today. Today it's going super well.
It is not, no. I don't know why they're not fitting in my ears. Oh, is that better? All right. I'm sure the audience is enjoying that part of this little cast.
Where's Alex? Is he boycotting the
I
podcast?
didn't to be fair, I didn't send him a link today. Well, because I have
Did.
I have no idea. Have you been in touch with him? I haven't heard from him in 2 days.
No, I was thinking about calling him, and then I decided not to.
Because as far as I can tell, it is 11:25 here, which means it's 1:25 where he is, or 2:25 where you are. Correct?
No, it's not. It's 12:25 where I am. So how in the world is it 11:25
Oh,
where
it's
you?
okay. No, my computer didn't update. Anyways, so it's 12:25 where you are, so it's 11:25 where he is. That means it's 9:25 here. Yeah, I guess so. Anywho, um, and I just assume he's at work at the moment. So
Oh,
we'll try to get him in on the conversation with Michelle Shores, which is upcoming.
yes, we do that on Tuesday.
I know. Hopefully,
She's so excited.
with the plane landing at 5:05, hopefully I'll get there in time. Um, if not, you might be getting desperate, like texts with all the information you need to
Yeah, I was gonna say you're
start
gonna
it.
have to give me like a list of things that
Yeah,
so that I can cover it adequately. Because
yep.
otherwise I'll just sit there and talk about books, and that's not actually the point of the podcast.
And all you do is say, "Tell me about the Nellie Butler hauntings." And
Books.
all right, so today we're
Books.
talking about Anasazi cliff dwellings,
Yes.
and I have done a little bit of research into them and the whole idea
Oh.
behind them a little bit. Well, I actually did quite a bit. Unfortunately, my iPad is actually 6 feet behind me, so I'm not sure. Like I have to take the airs out to go over and to go get them. And we all know that my computer isn't happy if I open up multiple screens when I don't have another screen on the side. Anyhow, one of the things that I was looking at is, there's at least two Finding Bigfoot episodes that take place in Arizona. One place is called the Mogollon Rim, and another place is just sort of in the four corners of, I guess it's Arizona, Nevada, Utah, and something. I don't know. I probably should know this off the top of my head, but I do not. I will look it up and put it in the overlay.
I mean, I
But
can look it up, but
the funny part is
'cause I don't know.
that um, the overlay between reported Bigfoot sightings and the Anasazi cliff dwellings is remarkably interesting. All right.
The four corners are Colorado, Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico.
I got the Utah and Arizona, I guess.
I always forget Colorado exists, mostly because I don't like Denver. Sorry,
Uh,
everybody from Denver. Your airport sucks.
Also true. Um, well, I just, I flew into SeaTac a couple of days ago, and I was like, wow, this place is super interesting. Anyhow, so one of the things that I noticed is you have Anasazi cliff dwellings in the what was it, the Wupik National Monument, the Tuzuki National Monument, the Tonto Upper Cliff Dwelling. You have the ancient Anasazi cliff dwellings up in the Four Corner section and Canyon de Chelly National Monument, and then going into Colorado, you have the Cliff Palace near Pagosa Springs. And then if you take that and you overlay, which I will, um, the major sections, those are all in, as it looks like it says Coco Nino, and I can't really pronounce it well. The Apache, the San Juan, the Yavapai, and the Maricopa counties of Arizona and Colorado and I guess New Mexico. And when you take that and you look at the sightings list, an Apache 11 and Cochise only 2, the Coco Nino is 34 reports. And as you know,
Oh,
that's
wow.
always a small percentage.
Right.
Mojave 2, Navajo 6. And then if you go into Colorado on the BFRO and go to, I mean, first of all, I need to say that Arizona has 85 sightings and Colorado has 130 sightings. And you go into Colorado and you go into that same area. Let me see, what was that? San Juan 3, and then going up towards other Indian areas, Conejos 8, and then you get Teller is I think the next with 9, and Park, Colorado is 13 sightings. And again, you're talking about there's usually a small multiple of reports
Right.
to actual sightings.
Right.
And so I thought that was an interesting thing because there's a lot of reports of ghosts as well from the cliff sightings, but a
Right.
lot of them are sounds. I heard a thing. I heard a thing. And the other thing to point out, and again, I'll put this in the overlays, is that the Bigfoot sightings in quote unquote sightings in this area is also a lot of Class B sightings, which is they heard something versus they saw something. Class A is like you actually had an encounter, you know,
Right.
a first encounter of the hairy kind. You
Fun.
know, but I thought that was kind of super interesting to see. And then in the ghost universe, you look up the ghosts of the cliff dwellings, and there's 170,000 reports or something like that,
Right.
and a number of books that have been written, several blogs. It looks to me like the one that has the most um, reported ghost sightings are Mesa Verde
Yes. That's what I'm looking at right now, actually.
and Mesa Verde. Where are you exactly? Mesa Verde National Park. Well, that's super helpful. Let's
That's
see.
where the Cliff Palace is.
Correct. I just want to see where.
Yeah, I want to see the exact location.
So
I'm trying.
Mesa Verde seems like it's in Colorado,
Yeah, that's what it's looking like. I
and
think it counts though because we didn't really specify of New Mexico. We just said the Cliff Cities.
well, I was surprised in my research how many cliff cities there were.
Oh, there's a ton. I
Mhm.
I also was surprised with that when I first looked it up. Because I literally just looked up like ghost tours of the Cliff Cities just to see because sometimes those website will list out like certain legends for it and everything. And there was just page after page after page after page of different ghost tours in different Cliff Cities. And I was like, holy crap. Like I knew that there was a bunch, but I didn't quite realize that there was that many.
Hmm.
Like
And what do they concentrate on?
a lot of them didn't have a ton of information, to be honest with you. When I looked it up, a lot of it was talking about different ghost tours that you can take, and then there was a lot of like self-guided ones. Um, I think that a self-guided ghost tour in a cliff city sounds terrifying, just kind of on the basis of it's a cliff city and it's a self-guided ghost tour. Like, like that whole scenario just seemed like one of them literally specified that you have to go up this like 2-mile trail that has like sheer drops just to get to the start of the self-guided tour. I was like, that is a tour in and of itself. Like you're
Hmm.
talking 4 miles round trip before you even start the like actual part. But like you said, it was a lot of like sounds and like hearing things and not necessarily seeing a lot of things is kind of what I got. Like that seemed to be consistent with it, which I mean makes sense considering the layout of a cliff city. Like do you know what I mean? Like I'm
You
not
know,
surprised that you're hearing things in there.
well, I mean, in kind of looking at the New Mexico side of this, San Juan County
Mm-hmm.
has the largest number of cliff dwellings in New Mexico, it looks like, and then also has of the 43 um, Bigfoot experiences, it has 9, I think, unless I can't count today. 2, 4, 6, 8. I cannot count today. 8. Um, which, by the way, out of which are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are actually Class A's. And a lot of them start with the terms Navajo man. Sighting by 2 men driving near Narbona Pass, which is right in that same area. Whiskey Lake, um, Narbona Pass again for the win in the Chushka Mountains. River Guide going down that same river, the San Juan River. So again, you're looking at the over under there. And in Colorado, is that why is this going
Right.
this late?
Well, it's so interesting because some of these cities were abandoned by like the 1200s. Like that's crazy.
Yes.
They've been abandoned for over 800 years already. Like,
Hmm.
that's absolutely wild to me.
Yeah, and again, I'll put these in the overlays. When you look at the actual pictures of the cliff cities, I mean, like, I don't think they were really easy to create. So what drove them out? Why did they
Right.
leave?
And I know that there's like conspiracy theories running around rampant about them. Um, like I know one of them is that it's a natural like harmonic convergence of the worlds and they are not like that they were driven out by like malicious presences. I know the one of the blogs that I'm reading about it, it's a blog called Seeks Ghost. Um, and they mention that the Native Americans don't consider the um or this one specific canyon abandoned. Instead, they believe that the spirits of their ancestors still live there. Um, so it's just kind of like there's a lot of like things going on there, but it doesn't seem to be anything like when you look up ghost stories of it, it doesn't necessarily pop back up with, oh yes, this specific building is haunted by this specific ghost. It seems to be more of an en masse like presence in them than anything else, or at least that's kind of what I got from it.
Well, so according to NPR, the ancestral Pueblo culture, the Anasazi, which is interesting. They call it as prehistoric, but it's you know not. Anyhow, AD 100 to 1600s, and it was within one single generation, generally accepted to be between 1275 and 1300 AD, that just stopped building entirely, and then the land was left empty. But
Right.
the dwellings themselves were iconically well done. The only thing that I've noticed in reality is there doesn't seem to be roofs on a lot of these buildings. And I don't know if that's because they were originally thatched or wooden and it's just degraded over the last 800 years, which I mean, that makes sense. Um, or if they were actually left intentionally open because of the fact that they were, in fact, um, largely built within and under cliff overhangs.
Right, so that would have provided them a natural protection anyway. I know that there was a drought in the region in like 1120 to 1180, I think. Um, so that might have contributed to it, to the leaving en masse, but that's still almost 100 years later. Like,
Correct.
I mean, some of them could have like hung on there. Like, if you're like if you were born in like 1170 and saw the last 10 years of the drought as your childhood, grew up and didn't leave there and then had your kid, like maybe that kid's generation would have left.
Hmm.
But because they still would have been recovering from a drought. A drought that long has, lasting repercussions, obviously. So they still would have been in like the recovery phase.
Correct.
But I don't know. So maybe it was blind stubbornness of one generation staying and then the next left. Um, or maybe something in mass pushed them out. I don't know.
Well, yeah, and then you have to deal with the hauntings, the sighting of strange animals. There's actually, um, let me just double check this. That's interesting. So I remembered my good friend Giorgio Tsoukalos, um, having done something about this on his show Ancient Aliens. And I wanted to double check before I open my big fat mouth and have to put myself another fact check into the
Overlays.
overlays. But there are definitely there's petroglyphs that are interesting in Anasazi area. And I mean, it's one of those things of, well, are they representing animals? Are they representing um, something else? Are they supposed to be like they're godlike um, creatures? But and again, I'll put these into the overlay. Um, but the pictures of them are bug-like, as best as I can put it.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I mean,
Talking like the massive cicadas? Like what do you mean?
well, here, as much as I'm loath to do this, because it always gives us issues in our thing, I'm going to minimize some stuff out just because I don't want to um, make it go crazy.
Okay.
Do I need to share sound? I'm not showing a video, so I'm going to go with no. All right. So you should be seeing now
Oh
what
yeah,
I'm
those do
looking
look
at.
bug-like. Yeah.
And there's a remarkable consistency within the look. I mean, it's definitely some interesting oh, can't use
It's
that
like
one.
a
It's
big
licensable.
grasshopper.
Yeah, I mean, when you said big cicada, I was like, well, you're not wrong. But more interesting to me is this right here. So this is obviously representative of an animal.
Right.
So what is this a representative? Because this is much bigger than the animal, and you're talking about a four-legged animal. I mean, I guess if it's a rabbit, this is a really tall, skinny cicada. But if this is representative of a bull, that's a giant ass cicada.
Well, and
Now,
what's the little the things above it that he was shooting towards the cicada?
I don't know, but
Or not the
again,
cicada, I'm sorry.
you're seeing the pictures of, something that looks remarkably like antennae. I mean, this thing looks like something out of my worst nightmares, to be quite honest with you. So again, I'll put a bunch of the petroglyphs overlays, and maybe I want to do a little bit more looking into what um, the best thinking is. I know this is a licensable one, but it's got the Shutterstock picture on it, so maybe it won't. But I mean, look at this. This is like right in a row, all the petroglyphs in the Anasazis. So it is definitely something um, to think about. I mean, you're talking
Right.
now. You have ghost tours that go on there because people hear weird things. You have hairy man sightings within it, and in fact, again, maybe if I was smart, I would do this. Let's see if I can do this again without making the computer go bonkers. Um, Let me pull this up real quick. So So that worked out well by pulling it out and then minimizing everything else. It didn't make everything go completely nutty. Um, and again, I'm not sharing sound, but here's Colorado. Here's
Right.
Montezuma County.
Okay.
All right, Montezuma County is in the darker orange. Now, granted, there's more sightings up here, up in Eagle, Colorado, down through El Paso County. All right, but then if we go and we like, all right, so that's not a passel of them, but it's not small, it's not insignificant.
Right.
Um, but then if you go down to New Mexico and roll down, and again, where do you have most of the
Right.
sightings? San Juan, right in that corner. Here
Right.
is Arizona, and where do we have it?
Right
Apache,
in that corner.
right? And again, if you go backwards and look at Colorado, New Hampshire, Arizona is up here with its 85 sightings. All right, Apache, Coconino County, and then you're going down here to Maricopa, and down here towards southern, right in the corner of Arizona and New Mexico, and then into Texas. You are talking about a fair number of sightings there too. Mojave, and if you count and go over and look at the Anasazi dwellings, they're all in that area. And I
Right.
bet you, and I would make the guess, and I haven't looked because I didn't think to look at Utah at all. But let's look at Utah with
I would say
73
Utah possibly
sighting, and I could
too.
probably guess if you look. Oh no,
No.
it skipped. Gosh darn you! But
So
that's
that would
what.
have been so nice.
But why did they? Why would they skip San Juan and be very active down here where all those? I wonder. Okay, so this is Michael, and I am flying solo for a minute, so bear with me. I decided to look at this. Why is there such a huge discrepancy with San Juan County? And this is what it is. San Juan County, Utah has approximately 14,489 people living in 7,933 square miles. Now, taking a uh, place to look at, I decided to use Rhode Island, being the smallest state in the union and often used as a measurement. Like Texas is 37 Rhode Islands or whatever. So I looked at that. Rhode Island has an area of 1,545 square miles with 1,096,000 people living in that area. This means that San Juan County, um, Utah, has a comparison of Rhode Island having 69 times the population of San Juan County, but 20% of the total square mileage, which means that we are talking about a vast area with very small population. And this means we are missing one of the two necessary items for a sighting, and that is you don't have people to see the Bigfoot. And this is what I'm constantly harping on in these podcasts. So I just thought I'd show that because it was really weirding me out that there was such a huge discrepancy. I wonder.
I was gonna say there is also a big gap in the Navajo right there too in Arizona. Like you have
Mhm.
bordering high sightings and then a stretch of nothing. Swellings?
Whatever. It knows what I want. Thank God it can figure it out. Oh no, no, no. I want maps.
My autocorrect has started autocorrecting words to wrong words, like wrong spelling of words, even when I spell them correctly now. Um, and that is sad.
Well, here you go. Now there was a fair amount here
Right.
and nothing supposedly here, but this whole area here, White River National Forest down through Grand Mesa, are all filled with sightings. And what I'm saying, and what I'm kind of clumsily getting at, is it is my belief, and potentially assumption that some of the ghosts they're hearing are actually the hairy man going in, and potentially, I mean, you got to figure who's using these buildings. You
Right.
know, I mean, and by the way, those sounds could be cougars up in there too, or bear or whatever. But a bear isn't going to climb to the second floor.
Right. Well,
Um,
like,
you
but
know, Cougar potentially could, and then that's ugly. And then you know, if most of those sightings are hearings, then what is it? And then going back to the reasoning why they left, maybe a big drought had them leave, maybe something else, maybe somebody pushing them out. I mean, it was too early for white settlers to be pushing them
Right.
out, you know. So again, it's one of those things that just makes you go, I wonder what's happening here.
Well, it's weird that it would leave such a well-constructed city too. Like
Yeah,
there
I
had
don't.
some form of rhyme or reason. That it was just, oh well, we've had a good time here. Let's go. Like that would just be silly.
Yeah, that's interesting. Prolonged dry spell, great drought. I just can't understand why a drought
Well,
would
because if
have
they were
been it.
farming and they had no water,
Well, I mean, according to the Manitou Cliff Dwellings website itself, they're saying in addition to the drought and marauding enemy theories, scientists suggest that things like poor sanitation, pests, and environmental degradation may have caused the ancestral pueblans to move. But then if you go down and look a little further into it, you know, a particular scientist contends that a band of thugs, the Toltecs, and by the way, band of thugs is in quotations, the Toltecs, for whom cannibalism was part of their religious practice, made their way to the Chaco Canyon in central Mexico, from central Mexico. And these invaders used cannibalism to overwhelm the unsuspecting Anasazi to terrorize the populace into submission over a period of 200 years. And by the way, if that's true, which it seems to be true. I mean, there's archaeological evidence to it that would lend a lot of credence to why there would be ghosts in that area. I mean, if you think about ghosts being people who hang on to traumatic areas, I think
being
seeing
cannibalized is a
yeah,
problem. Yeah.
where's Billy? We're eating him.
Oh, he got eaten.
I think we should have Fred over for supper. Fred shows up with a bouquet of flowers and a bottle of wine. It's like, no, 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 you have this wrong. We are having Fred for supper.
Yikes. Yeah, that would be a problem. But also 200 years if being like preyed upon like that become
Yeah.
a group's religious meal. Like, yikes.
Oh, I can spell.
I can't.
Toltecs. Where is it? Toltec culture, pre-Columbian. I like how we use Columbus's arrival as the time period thing for a bunch of people that he eventually was, kind of the reason for them to die out. Um, yeah. Well, and interestingly, the chronology of the Toltec Empire is they were Mesoamerican and reached prominence between 950 to 1150 AD, and then they continued to move up out of Mesoamerica and into, or really Central America, moving into um, the Four Corners area. They're originally from Hidalgo, Mexico area. And interestingly enough, the Toltecs, and I thought this, but I wasn't sure, they are carvers of some of the more interesting totems. And some of them are quite fascinating looking. I will put those into the overlays as well. So, hmm, hmm, hmm.
Interesting.
So, was it worth putting on our top 4 list of haunted places? Well, with a combined over 100 and I think 125 or 145, if I can do my counting correctly, Bigfoot sightings in the generalized areas of the Anasazi dwellings, and how many different ghost tours going through there?
Too many for Google to give me accurate results. Like,
Petroglyphs of creatures that are not readily identifiable, and multiple UFO sightings, excuse me, UAP sightings in the area. Of course, we do have to put in the conspiracy theory and go, maybe it's Area 51 over near there, which
Never know.
it is. I mean, Area 51 is often described as being, I think, in Utah, if I remember correct, or Nevada. I mean, it's a generalized
Wow.
area. I do find it fascinating. To me, it is fascinating that um, the one county on the Four Corners that has no Bigfoot reports is San Juan, Utah, but San Juan, New Mexico has a ton of sightings, or at least, uh, 4 or 5 reports and many other sightings. And again, I'm going to go through the Finding Bigfoot episodes that take place in Arizona and just kind of bias confirm that I'm correct as to where they all lined up. But I don't remember having read through all those reports, like the ones on the BFRO net. I don't think they correspond to the sightings they investigate in the episodes. And I'll fact check myself on that, but I'm pretty sure. I know
I
those
gotcha.
things way too well.
Just a little bit. Plus, don't forget the cannibalistic tribe that moved through there. So I think it was a good Halloween thing. There's a lot going on.
Well,
What's happening?
I'll have to put some spooky music to make it sound more spooky. Um, and then we are off this week to where is it?
Well,
Well, it's
Maine
third.
technically, because we
Well,
have a guest.
yes, I'm very
And
excited.
that would be the week before Halloween, leaving the last one for Salem, which I thought you wanted to do.
Yeah, I would like to get a scrap of New Orleans in as well.
Oh, okay. Well, we could probably combine the Maine and New Orleans. I mean, those are two very different areas of the country, but like,
Well, we'll see. We'll see
we could
what
do a
happens.
two-parter too.
Yeah, I mean, if you actually view this and listen to us all the way, we apologize. We're a little bit lower energy today. I'm in Washington State, where I just hiked up part of Mount Rainier, the part
Did not
that's
find Bigfoot though.
no, I did not. I even wore Friday on or Thursday, the last day of school before I took off for Washington State. I even wore my Bigfoot tie for good luck. Uh,
I'm tired
my
because I built a cloud ceiling.
I did have a colleague who literally asked me, "What are you going to do if you find them?" I said, "I don't know. Run."
I would say that is a great question. Honestly, God, like, what would you do if you found Bigfoot?
I Who
Because
knows?
you would need to get the picture for our podcast, obviously. But after that,
Well, she basically said, actually, he would just stomp you into a mud hole, and that'd be the end of you. Um, and interestingly enough, and I do have to get this in. Yesterday, we're driving to, or just before we're driving to Mount Rainier, I was, listening to other podcasts because that's what I do with my free time. And one of the ones that popped up was a missing 411, the David Paulides podcast about supposed either Bigfoot or other cryptids taking people away, um, kind of things. And the missing
great.
411 was, of course, Mount Rainier National Park.
Oh, good. I'm sure that put a nice pep in your step.
Yeah, well, I mean, where we were, I mean, Bigfoot would have had to have put on a suit and tie because it was on the asphalt. We didn't go off trail. In fact, right now you can't go off trail at Mount Rainier. They're trying to restore all the meadows and everything. But I have a few pictures, and I'll probably share a few in the end of the cast.
But if
So
you send some to me, I can post them on Instagram.
okay, I will do that. And then the other thing that I will say is we are continuing today. We're going to a forest today to hop around and
Look
see
for
what
Bigfoot.
happens. Right. And then I will also document anything that isn't seen because I have no real hopes here. Um, and
You can't go into it like that. Yeah.
I know it's like fishing going, "Oh, I know I'm not going
I'm
to
never
catch
gonna
one.
catch anything.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm never,
You
yeah."
scare the fish away with your bad vibes, and that's what you're doing to Bigfoot. Bigfoot's like, bad vibes over here. Gotta
Um,
go.
but on top of that, we will be talking to Michelle Shores on Tuesday,
Mhm.
and then we'll talk a little bit about New Orleans. I think you need to look into New Orleans vampires because that's your gig.
I totally will. Honestly, hopefully this just doesn't trigger my whole I have a whole section of my books that are based in New Orleans, and anytime I start like looking into New Orleans legends, I go through and reread all of the books. I really don't have time to reread 12 books right now. So hopefully that
Well,
doesn't happen, but we'll see.
yeah, I definitely have some thoughts on that matter, and
They're good books.
some ghosts and everything else of New
Yes.
Orleans. Unfortunately, in my head, what I have going through is Scooby Doo. When they were in New Orleans, and it was the Ghosts of the Confederacy, and it was really just a hologram, and they were driving money out.
I was thinking of Zombie Island.
Yeah, where the voice of the original Rogue from X-Men, not the movies, but the cartoon in the 90s, was the voice of the cook who turns into a cat. Ooh,
And
everything just got really dark.
well, that's because you're dissing on Zombie Island, and that is an excellent Scooby-Doo movie. So
All right. And then our final week in October will be Salem and the witch trials and Hocus Pocus. Hocus Pocus, let us all focus.
it's like a minor miracle for me at this point. Like,
Hey, at least we didn't get to a 10-minute discussion of Cochina.
okay, valid, but like
Also true.
I'm thinking about the cookies I'm going to make because it's fall here and I'm baking cookies.
Well, it's fall here too, and I get to enjoy fall for another day and a half.
Well, it's 60 degrees here right now, and I'm pretty psyched about it, to be honest
And,
with you.
and then I'm sure it'll be 87 when we land in
Houston?
Texas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Here's
I know yesterday your brother sent a screenshot that it was 77 degrees, so that
oh
was
my God, he
exciting.
was excited about it. That was so funny. Yesterday it was 58 and raining.
Yeah, I guess it's going to rain tomorrow here, which
Well,
is not as much fun.
well, that pretty much tracks. Let's be honest. You're in Washington State. It rains a lot.
Also true. We've had 3 days of sun, so I can't really complain.
Good job.
All right.
All right. We got a countdown of doom, so we got to
Yes.
go.
Bye.
Bye.